All right, so we've talked about the theory behind Agentforce, but the real question, the one that actually matters, is where does it make a difference in a real business? Today, we are getting practical. We're going to dive into the specific use cases where Agentforce doesn't just help a little, it completely transforms the way work gets done. So let's just start with this question because it really gets to the heart of the matter. Look, your standard automation. It's awesome for repetitive work, no doubt. But what happens in those moments that need a judgment call, a real decision? That's usually where a person has to jump in, and that little gap, that's exactly what we're going to explore. So, just so we're all on the same page, Agentforce is different. It's not just about doing tasks, it's about making decisions. It can look at a complicated workflow, one with a bunch of different steps, and figure out the best way forward all on its own. And that means your team is freed up from having to constantly watch over it. Now, when you have a tool this powerful, it's really tempting to think it's the solution for everything, right? But the actual key to success with Agentforce is knowing exactly when to use it. It's all about surgical precision, not just throwing it at every problem.
So when is the right move? Well, you should think about Agentforce when a process needs a real decision, not just some mindless, repetitive action. You use it when there are multiple steps that are all connected and depend on each other. You use it when you can safely take your team out of the boring, mundane parts of the loop. And really, you use it when your current automation just hits a wall because it's simply not smart enough for the job.
Okay, enough theory. Let's put this to the test with some real-world examples. Our first stop on this little tour is a place we all know pretty well, customer support. Just try to picture a support inbox for a minute. It's this nonstop flood of emails, questions, complaints, requests for refunds, you name it. And traditionally, you have a whole team of people whose only job is to read, categorize, and route every single one. It's a massive operational drag. Now just look at this comparison. On the left, that's the manual grind. Read, check, create, guess the priority, and then forward. It's slow and it's easy to make mistakes. But then look at the right. Agentforce streamlines the whole thing. It understands the context, it checks the history, it assigns the correct priority automatically, and then, here's the key, it makes a decision. Should I respond to this directly, or should I route it to the perfect human agent for the job? This isn't just faster, it's way, way smarter. The takeaway here is absolutely huge. Agentforce isn't just helping with the triage, it's replacing the entire manual process. And what that does is free up your support team to focus on what they're best at, solving those really complex problems that actually need a human touch. And this same idea applies all across the business. So let's take a look at how Agentforce can handle totally different challenges in two other really critical areas, sales and HR. The problems might look different on the surface, but the root cause is kind of the same. In sales, your best reps are spending way too much time figuring out if a new lead is any good instead of actually selling. And over in HR, the team is just buried under this mountain of routine employee questions about leave policies and benefits. And here's how Agentforce steps in for both. For sales, it's not just sorting leads, it's qualifying them, assigning them to the right person, and even suggesting the next best action. I mean, imagine a hot lead comes in and the right rep gets an instant alert, while a colder lead gets automatically put into a nurture campaign. Then for HR, it becomes that first line of defense. It handles all the routine leave requests and policy questions, so the HR team can focus on people, not paperwork. So a great way to think about it is this. In sales, Agentforce is like having a sales assistant that doesn't just do what you tell it, but actually makes smart decisions for you. And in HR, it's like a virtual agent that's always on, handling all those repetitive questions that can bog down the whole department. Okay, we've seen some pretty powerful examples. But how do you actually find these kinds of opportunities in your own organization? Let's walk through a super simple litmus test you can use. This is the big question, isn't it? You can see the potential, but turning that potential into a real project starts with finding the perfect process to aim at. Here it is, your simple 4-point checklist. First, ask yourself, does this process involve real decision-making, or is it just following a simple script? Second, are there multiple steps that are all linked together? Third, and this one is super important, can you safely remove a person from this specific part of the process? And finally, number 4, does the task need context, like a customer's history or data from other systems, to be done right? Look, if you find yourself nodding along and answering yes to these questions when you think about a process in your business, then ding, 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 you've almost certainly found a fantastic opportunity for Agentforce. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is that one frustrating, multi-step manual process in your job, you know the one, that is just crying out for a smarter decision? If you can find that, you found the perfect starting point for your own Agentforce journey.